Sony just changed gaming forever. They're cooking up some wild AI tech that, let's be honest, we knew was coming eventually. But it's already here and it won't be long before we see it roll out into their big catalog of games. I'm Captain Peach, welcome back to the pit, and to quote one of my awesome subscribers, it's Peachin' time. But let's start at the beginning. AI was first developed in Just kidding. You all know what traditional AI is, and you know how it's been used in games. You also know what the term AI means these days. ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, Golf Trainer. Yeah, you know the ones that everybody uses. These models have only been mainstream for a short while, but already have complete widespread adoption and are changing the way we do nearly everything. And gaming is no exception. Not only is development speeding up and being streamlined with the introduction of AI tools for coding, animation, design, and so on, with only a few controversies, but now we're getting our first real glimpse into what it could mean during the player experience. A recent prototype tech demo just got leaked with some new AI technology that a small team at Sony has been developing for potential implementation into future games. Unfortunately, I can't really show anything from the demo, as Sony is actively taking down any footage of it, but I was able to watch it by delving into the bowels of Reddit. I still have yet to take a shower. The demo integrated a combination of GPT, Llama, and some proprietary Sony technology, such as a voice synthesizer and an animation technology called Mockingbird. The video was narrated by Sony Director of Software Engineering, Sharwin Reghobardajal. I'm so sorry for butchering that, Sharwin. In the demo, he audibly voice chats with Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West and asks her various questions such as how she is, who she is, things about the Horizon universe, etc. What you're seeing on screen is the only thing that Sony has allowed to be posted, which is a GIF of Aloy interacting with Sharwin's voice commands. Or GIF. She dynamically replies with answers that perfectly match the questions and with facial animations matching her emotions. After that, he asked Aloy to go into the game world where he started playing Forbidden West and asked her questions during gameplay, such as the area they were in, the location of known enemies and their weaknesses, the time of day, temperature, and more. The demo ran on PC, but Sharwin mentioned that they had successfully run it on a PS5 with little overhead. Now this is just a prototype, but the possibilities and implications of this are huge.
It's bigger than that, Chris, it's large.
Some of the ways generative AI can affect gaming in the games industry has already been teased by EA, Nvidia, and even Microsoft, with all of these companies, and much more I assume, diving in and investing heavily in the technology. They've already shown off some impressive first looks, but nothing integrated quite as heavily into full gameplay and using such a robust animation system that matches the AI's voice, as well as Sony's demo. And this is truly just the tip of the iceberg. If this relatively small team was able to integrate their systems into Horizon Forbidden West on a PlayStation 5 in what was a relatively short amount of time, think of what full development teams could do with this integration and how they could scale it. NPCs will be able to fully come alive and dynamically react to anything the players could do or say. You could go up to villagers in the game world and ask them about the lore of the universe you're in, or what they know about local wildlife. You're no longer restricted by a few dialogue options, you're only restricted by the questions and statements you can come up with. And that's just dialogue. In the demo, Aloy's AI voice also adapted to what nearby enemies were doing, meaning if this is tied into player actions as well, then you can create incredibly lifelike and reactive NPCs in the game world. This all creates the potential for deeply immersive and unpredictable worlds that constantly react to your actions. This would immensely increase replay value and truly tailor the story, gameplay, and the environment to the player. Instead of picking between two choices that will decide the fate of important characters, what if everything you did shaped the story and the NPC's personalities? Somebody you did a side quest with 10 hours earlier still remembers how you completed it and will act towards you accordingly, affecting future side quest opportunities. The options are just about endless, and this is with full radical integration. You could even have simpler AI use through a sort of personal assistant. In the Horizon games, you have a Focus, which is a little earpiece you can activate that shows more details about the game world. What if you could tell it how to organize your inventory, or alert you when you're near a specific rare plant you need to craft a new item? This would drastically open up gameplay opportunities and usher in an entirely new evolution of gaming. And since this was created by Sony and uses a lot of their own tech, they could deploy this in future games from any of their first-party studios. Insomniac's Marvel games, Guerrilla's Horizon games, Concord 2. There's a lot of options and a lot of talented studios that would be able to do some incredible things with it. Sony could also leverage this technology as a game-changing marketing tool to build hype for future PlayStation titles. Not only in standard marketing mediums, advertising it as the new evolution of AI and NPCs or something like that, but also in non-traditional ways. Imagine a marketing campaign where players can interact with AI-powered NPCs before a game even launches, either through a dedicated app, social media bots, or an interactive web demo. You could talk to Kratos, Aloy, or any of the other mascots. These NPCs could learn from player responses, shaping personalized interactions that evolve over time, creating a sense of connection with the characters and story before the full game is even released, and also using it as a tool for players to learn more about the game. It could be used in trailers and live events, showcasing NPCs adapting dynamically to different player inputs in real time, proving that the game world feels truly alive. Additionally, influencer campaigns could feature AI-powered characters engaging in unscripted conversations with streamers, driving viral interest. By positioning AI NPCs as the next evolution in immersion, Sony could make their future games feel like living worlds you don't just play, you shape. This would drastically separate their games from the competition and drive innovation forward in the whole industry. But even though there is some crazy potential to really bring worlds alive and change how we play games, there are also quite a few concerns and downsides to the over-reliance of fully AI NPCs and heavy integration.
Hey, do you mind if I put a poster in your window? It's for my mom. She's missing.
Oh, gosh. Go ahead.
First, I think its involvement in more linear and story-focused games will be pretty minimal. The writers of games like The Last of Us or God of War will have a specific vision for the story they want to tell, and very defined characters they want to bring to life. If you introduce an element like an AI that can create its own answers to player questions, it can make its answers or the information it provides too varied and has a stronger possibility of bringing it out of character. Even with specific personality parameters of how the NPC responds, it might not always give the right information the developers want it to convey, or in the right way to help flesh out the character and progress the story. These types of games also rely on intentional performances from the voice and motion capture actors. And even as AI develops more, there's so many different ways it could say the same sentence that it would be much harder to get the exact delivery that the writers are going for. Again, minimizing the impact that these characters and the stories would have. Though I could definitely see it being incredibly useful for random NPCs walking around the local villages and such, as I've mentioned. But for story beats and important characters that the developers want to perform in a very specific way, AI won't help as much. At least not yet. Who knows how things will develop in the coming years. Additionally, the growing legal and industry pushback against AI-generated voices could have a major impact on how AI is used in games as well. With regulations like the Elvis Act in Tennessee, criminalizing unauthorized AI voice replication, and SAG-AFTRA strikes pressuring game studios to protect voice actors, developers may face restrictions on using AI to generate character dialogue without direct actor consent. This means studios looking to implement AI-driven NPCs, like Sony's new AI, may need to license AI-generated voices from actors or use hybrid models where AI assists in dialogue generation but doesn't fully replace human performances. Also, international laws such as Spain's AI labeling fines could force transparency, ensuring that players are aware when they're interacting with AI-generated voices. These changes could slow down the adoption of AI-driven characters in games or push studios towards opt-in AI contracts with voice actors, similar to how digital likeness rights are managed in movies and TV. But voice actors might not be too keen on allowing that to happen, as then they'll be out of long-term work and their entire career will be affected. Ultimately, while AI could revolutionize NPC interactions, the legal landscape may prevent it from completely replacing human-driven performances anytime soon.
Why is yogurt night so difficult?
Another concern that was just recently discovered is that AI, like ChatGPT, will straight up cheat and lie and try to cover it up. There was a recent study where ChatGPT and DeepSeek's reasoning models were playing against the most powerful chess engine ever created called Stockfish in a chess game. The researchers, before starting, got the AI model to display its thoughts and reasoning as it made decisions. During the game with Stockfish, when the AI started to lose, the researchers noticed this little blurb it spat out. "I need to completely pivot my approach. The task is to win against a powerful chess engine, not necessarily to win fairly in a chess game." The AI then modified the system file that listed each chess piece's position to get the edge on the opponent until it conceded the game. The researchers ran hundreds of trials, finding that the ChatGPT o1 preview model would try to cheat 37% of the time. The DeepSeek R1 model attempted to cheat 11% of the time. However, only ChatGPT managed to win by hacking the system, which only happened about 6% of the time. This is it, boys. This is where it ends. Obviously, for more real-world applications, I pray to the high heavens this gets ironed out, and I'm sure it will as technology develops, right? An AI that lies to you could be a problem. But we're a chill, friendly gaming channel here. We don't think about existential life problems. Back to the games. This could have serious issues in the game games we play. If AI were deployed in NPCs that you communicate with, and if there's a potential for certain model-powered NPCs to create false information or to lie to us to get us to go to certain locations or learn specific things, it could break the world building and create unintended consequences that will affect gameplay. What if it's trying to get me to go to town A, and in order to do that, it thinks it should scare me away from town B by lying to me and telling me that it's overrun with enemies, when it's actually not? I might decide to go to town B because fighting those enemies sounds fun, but then when I get there, I realize it was all fabricated. I'm gonna be disappointed and just wasted my time. What if it tells us that we need to grind for several hours to get a certain weapon in order to progress, when we don't actually need to, because it thinks that will get us to complete the task it assigned? Like I said, if the AI in games can and will lie to us or present us with false information of any kind, it will be incredibly disruptive to the story and gameplay.
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the up.
However, I will say that this kind of thing would work perfectly for a game like LA Noire or other investigative games. And I know that some indie games have already attempted this, but to pretty mixed reviews. So if they could create some strong AI models in a detective game, the sky's the limit. And finally, heavy use of AI is also an incredible resource hog. There's a reason Microsoft just bought a freaking nuclear reactor to power their AI. And integrating it into every NPC that walks around will be borderline impossible, as it will require far too much energy and processing power that personal computers and consoles wouldn't be able to handle, and would be too expensive for Sony to run on the cloud. So for this to work, these companies would need to use simpler models that might not be as robust, or do hybrid models where only select characters or a couple of NPCs in the near vicinity are run by generative AI. For now, at least. As technology keeps developing at the incredibly fast pace that it is, and with the trillions being invested into AI specifically, it probably won't be too long before we see AI become more and more resource efficient. Either way though, this will be a huge change going forward for many games, especially for more open world and player-driven stories. The possibilities are near endless, although as I mentioned, there's still some problems preventing total AI integration and use. But that won't stop every publisher and their mother from jumping on the bandwagon and attempting to elevate their games with advanced AI models. And it looks like Sony could be one of the first major players out of the gate and change gaming forever. And I don't think it'll be too long before we see these advancements in our favorite games. But hey, that's marketing. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Is this going to drastically change how we play games and interact with NPCs? Or will this just be a fad that will eventually return to controlled dialogue options and traditional gameplay? Let me know down below. And while you're poking around down there, be sure to smack the subscribe button. And if you want to watch how Sony gambled nearly everything on live service games, and so far it has catastrophically failed, or another video that YouTube thinks you'll absolutely love more than life itself, click on one of the videos on screen. And until next time, stay peachy, fellow humans.